author Gwen Alyce Clayton, and I'm enjoying this first hint of autumn sitting outside on the deck of Don Hall's Gas House overlooking the St. Mary's River. My husband and I took a tour this weekend aboard Sweet Breeze, a 14 by 53 foot replica of an 1840s canal boat. The journey took us across the three rivers of Fort Wayne, the St. Mary's, St. Joseph, and the Maumee. Throughout the ride, a Fort Wayne native named Mark Myers was our docent, and he gave us lots of interesting history and even some scientific fun facts about the rivers and Fort Wayne area.
City, we have three rivers. There's the St. Mary's. The St. Mary's starts down around St. Mary's, Ohio, and it heads up in a northwesterly direction, wraps around the city of Fort Wayne where it meets up the St. Joe. The St. Mary's is 99 miles in length. The St. Joe starts up near Hillsdale, Michigan, and it heads in a different direction. It heads in a southwesterly direction. It meets up, and together they form the Maumee, and at the Maumee, it then runs in an entirely different direction. It heads in a northeasterly direction up to Toledo and Lake Erie.
But what I loved most was the opportunity to create some fantastic folklore of my own. The name Sweet Breeze comes from a story that's been told for well over 100 years, maybe even 200 years. I'm really bad at math. Anyhow, there was a story that's been perpetuated throughout the years that Sweet Breeze was the name of Chief Little Turtle's daughter, and that she married William Wells, who was the Indian agent at the time, and he's very significant in Fort Wayne history. However, recently,
The Miami Nation and all, they have no record of anybody by that name.
that story isn't true. And so now the folks at Sweet Breeze, the Friends of the River, and the Fort Wayne Parks Department no longer tells that story.
Your docent or your guide today will be Mark Meyer. The first mate is Matthew. Of course, on shore we got the two deckhands, Debbie and Alyssa. The good part is, should we ever go down, the river is about 10 feet deep and we're 11 feet tall. So.
Now we're heading underneath the first of three iron bridges that we're going to go under on our trip. Of course, I'm sure you all recognize this as a Whipple Truss Bridge, right? You know your bridges?
Right now, I am standing in front of the Wells Street Bridge, one of three iron bridges along the route of the Sweet Breeze. The reason why this point is so significant is it's one of three iron bridges crossing one of three rivers in Fort Wayne. Bridges have always been important in folklore. They represent crossing over, accomplishment, and all kinds of things. You'll find them in folklore throughout history, through many cultures. The number 3 has always been magical. There is the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, poets, priests, and politicians, and even the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker. It's a literary device that's been used in folklore always, just always, throughout the world. And then, of course, rivers represent flowing effortlessly, transportation, crossing over again, just like rivers. They represent boundaries. There's all kinds of folklore. People relied on rivers. They provide drinking water, bathing water. We get fish from the rivers, and they support plant life that we eat. So, of course, we have many mythical creatures that come from our rivers.
To the stretch through that creek, it's family. Really a badge of honor to be a boy who went swimming in the old aqueduct. And Carol was born and raised in this house over here to our left. So you come through this clearing here, you see a tan house with brown trim. That's the Carol Lombard home. And that sits right behind this little balustrade, which was actually the city's first attempt at riverfront development back in about 1920. That is, remember I said the city of Five Forks? This is actually a replica of the city's fifth and final fort. Would have been sitting on this side, while on this side over here would be the largest Miami village at the time, the village of Kikianga. And it was there that he built a lifelong relationship with Chief Little Turtle, or Chief Michiganakwa. In fact, Wells and Michiganakwa worked side by side in the defeat of Harvard and in the defeat of St. Clair. That's a statue done by local artist Hector Garcia that we refer to as St. Phil, in order of the filtration plant. Those are what are referred to as mallow plants because they grow in, right here to our right, because they grow in marshy areas. They're often referred to as the marsh mallow plant, or you got the nickname, the marshmallow plant. Yes, the marshmallow plant. Now here's where the two rivers come together. If there's a difference in color of the rivers, we see that right here. But usually I'll get a question about the color of the river. You know, our rivers are awfully brown and dark. The reason for it is that, especially with St. Mary's, agriculture is by far the most significant industry along the rivers. As long as the water is moving, those clay particulates are going to float in the river, and they're going to give the river that color. We also have a very muddy bottom to the river as well that contributes. Get ready to wave, because this is the one time when the people at the deck wish they were somewhere else. They were on the boat with you. Yep. That's pretty cool. So. Under the beautiful MLK Bridge one more time. And now as we go under the bridge, I am going to ask that you all return to your seat until we get all tied in here. As we go underneath the bridge, that's our sign that
Why do humans make up folklore? Well, there's lots of reasons. One is they're trying to explain something that is otherwise unexplainable. Like in the old days, they thought that there was this big mythical creature that ate the sun every night, and then in the morning, the sun was reborn. And then other times, of course, like at Christmas time, you want to frighten children into behaving, so we make up stories about monsters who punish children who behave badly. Or perhaps we want to have some sort of hero story like the King Arthur myth. And other times we just want to garner sympathy, like the Cinderella story, where there's this poor girl who has nothing going for her, and then all of a sudden some magical fairy godmother helps her get out of her dire circumstances. And other times we want to warn people about something that really is evil or suspectedly evil. Like there's always the evil stepmother. I wonder why that is. Folklore is a way of preserving cultural traditions. They're handed down orally, they aren't always written down, but they tell the story of a culture. Folk tales are still important today. They teach us about ethical decision making. They give us an outlet for our sense of wonder. It's like, oh, look at that flower. Isn't that pretty? It must be magical. So even though we have a scientific method to explain the goings on in the world around us, we still like to have this, well, there's just something in the human psyche that wants to have this mythos about magical lands and magical beings that we can't see. It's kind of fun, huh? As humans, we still jump at things that go bump in the night. My challenge to you is to take a ride on the Sweet Breeze, go for the Sweet Breeze canal boat tour, and when you come back, write your own mythos, your own folklore. Like, what did you notice? What animals did you see? What flowers did you see? Did you see the marshmallows? Did you see St. Phil? Did you see any trolls under the bridge or Billy Goat's gruff? There's all kinds of things that we can do to create our own cultural traditions and see them in myth, even though we know full well it's fiction, but still, it's kind of fun. I like it. So enjoy your rivers, enjoy your boat, enjoy your history, and create your own folklore. I'm author Gwen Alyce Clayton, and I will see you next Tuesday.